Hi, Erica. My name is Carly. I will be your counselor. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's really nice to meet you. I would like to begin by just kind of going over some of the standards of the counseling relationship and informing you about what you're consenting to, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll start by just kind of outlining the purpose of counseling. And that is that I help you to navigate some of your daily living concerns. Um, you'll develop some skills throughout the course of our sessions that you can use and rely on even after our time together ends. As your counselor, some of my responsibilities are going to be to listen to you and to explore some possible solutions and some possible courses of action that you can take in dealing with some of your concerns. I'll also be able to provide you with a safe space to talk to me, to disclose information, and to practice some of the skills that we develop throughout counseling. We will meet on a weekly basis for us to talk. And as a client, your responsibilities will be to attend our sessions and to participate in counseling. So, talking about whatever needs to be discussed and helping me to understand your concerns a little bit better. Um, it's voluntary, so counseling is something that you can end whenever you like, and this is really going to be something that's on your terms. And as we work together, we'll want to focus on a few key issues. So we will define those together and we will try and stay focused on the problems that you are most concerned with addressing. Now, some of the limits of counseling are that I am under supervision as a counselor in training. So I will be talking with my supervisor about some of the things that you bring to me. And the purpose of that is to help me and also to help you to come up with some of the best courses of action that we can take. Some of our sessions will be video recorded as well, and that has the same end goal, which is just to make sure that we get the best possible outcomes. Also, everything that we discuss in counseling will be confidential, which means that everything you tell me will not leave session. The only time that I will break confidentiality are if you tell me that um, there's a threat to you or to another person. If you report to me that there's abuse happening with a vulnerable person, so a child or an elderly adult. If your information is subpoenaed by a court of law, or if you sign a release of information and ask me to communicate information personally to a doctor or a family member or something like that. Do you have any questions for me?
Currently, no. I think you did a really good job of just kind of explaining the process of everything.
Okay, awesome. Well, then let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit about what brings you in?
I definitely say one of the things that kind of bring me in about counseling is I am now in counseling classes to be finish my clinical mental health degree, to be a counselor, and I am kind of just a little angry. I have finished this whole counseling process kind of before, and it kind of ended tragically with me being homeless and having to kind of just like pick up the rest of my life. And it took 5 years to kind of do that. And I was basically done with all of my coursework and then was about to start my practicum, and then I became homeless, and through a situation that had happened through being a live-in nanny from my family friend. um, and it ended up really badly, and then I ended up getting kind of kicked out of her house for no reasons of my own, more than now that I look at it, that she had her own mental problems and was kind of projecting them onto me. And so it's taken me now, that was almost 5 years ago, almost to the day. So it's taking me this long to kind of get my life back together, and then to just kind of realize that this is something I want to do. And then when I reached out to my other university, they basically were just like, it's been 5 years and the program has changed. And so basically I have to start from scratch. And so that really hit me hard. And it took me a couple of months after that. This was about last year when I found all this out, to, really talk to myself and figure out, do some self reflection, if like this is the route that I want to go back down again. And It is, because I feel like it deep in my heart, this is what I'm supposed to meant to be, and this is like who I am, and I love psychology and I love helping people. So I have some sort of a little bit of like resentment towards like going back and doing this all over again, and then it's just like it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot to handle, and I feel like I'm handling it well with grace, but sometimes it just kind of catches me when I mostly don't know it's gonna like catch me. And I get very angry about it, and it's hard for me to come up with like good coping skills to like help me through those times where I'm feeling very like discouraged about this situation.
Hmm. Yes. So it that sounds like a really frustrating situation.
Yeah.
And I could hear as you're talking, some of the resentment about having to do this all over again coming
Yeah.
through. You mentioned that you have some strengths that you've kind of leaned on to get you to where you are now. I would be interested to know a little bit more about what you think your strengths are.
Well, I want to say that like one of my good strengths that I've been able is like this situation is kind of a situation I've never been in before. And I think that it showed me that, you know, there are a lot of tragic and unfair things that happen and from a series of unfortunate events that you can't control, and that I have had the ability to navigate through that very well, and that I was able to basically kind of go through this alone and able to build myself back up. And then in my eyes, I think that that's huge, because some people go their whole lives and are not able to do that. And I think that one of those things that would make me a good counselor, because I just have the ability to I found the way and the strength and the coping mechanisms myself to kind of get back to where I need to be. And I think that that's one of my strengths, and that I would love to help somebody else do as a counselor, is to really just, help them find their strength that they need and be able to guide them along with trying to manage those strengths and the things that happen, and to be able to find a way out of it and to come out better at the end. And I hope that that is something that I could really help other people and future clients with. And I think that that is possibly one of my strengths.
Okay, excellent. So I hear a lot of strength and a lot of resiliency. It sounds just from what you've told me like you've had to overcome quite a bit. And also that you ultimately made the decision to take a hard, difficult repeat route to make sure that you were able to secure some of your goals.
Yeah.
That is that right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
so a lot of resiliency. And you mentioned that you struggle with coping with some of the anger that comes up that
Yes.
stems from having to repeat this process, finding out that all the work that you had done was no longer worth anything,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Maybe some personal knowledge, but not to the people who were dictating the educational credential part.
Yeah.
Right. So what have you done up until now to kind of cope with that, make the decision to go back, even cope with some of the homelessness? I know you mentioned that was happening.
Yeah, I just that's a really good question, and I don't know if I necessarily know. I think I kind of just like keeping on because you have to, and I just keep moving forward with managing my mental health, because my mental health did actually take a really bad term after being homeless, and that ended up with me having to be committed for a few months, doing to no longer wanting to be alive anymore after the situation. And I think that one of the good coping mechanisms is that I think that I'm able to see when my mental health is not going good, and I'm able to combat it with whatever kind of comes up that can help me steer it so that it's not going down a path of before. I think maybe it's kind of like I had to like touch the darkness to kind of find the light, to like, now that I know when I'm getting close to that darkness, that like I see it coming and I know how to get away from it, and I know how to go back to the light. And I think that that's maybe one thing that I got very I kind of have down that I never really had before, because I never had been in that situation before, was just kind of being able to notice that when your mental health is starting to slip, that you're able to have that awareness, and then able to tell yourself to, okay, we need to step back and figure out the things we need in order
Mm.
to keep that mental health in check and keep it healthy, and to keep striving to want to move forward.
Mhm. So you're able to look at yourself when you get to a place of darkness and say, okay, what are my needs? And I love that you said that, because that means that you're looking at these darknesses as absence of what you need, in a
Yeah.
sense, and figuring out how you can meet your needs in those moments. And that's been something that's helped you do the hard thing, kind of, dig through the mud a little bit, to doing this all over again,
Yeah.
so that you can become a counselor. And what a great thing to know how to do, as a counselor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's kind of cool to be able to kind of see it from all sides now, because it's like now I can see it from the side of being a student in this program. I can see it from being a counselor, a future counselor, and I see it for being a client as well. So I think that that's one of the things that I really like about myself, and I think that that can make me a very effective counselor in the long run, because I'm able to see all sides of counseling and mental health, and have gone through, I think they, basically kind of say like a wounded helper, and kind of able to do what I can to help other people, because I've been through able to help myself through situations that are just, unfortunate.
Mhm. So it's almost like, in a sense, this frustrating situation, you found a way to make it so that it's going to help you become a better counselor at the end of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the primary focus for our sessions will be navigating some ways that you can manage some of the anger and the frustration when you're repeating something you've already done before, when you're having to write a paper and maybe you've already written the paper before, when you're dealing with those sorts of frustrations, and maybe some things that come up from the very difficult times that you've had to overcome, with homelessness and suicidal ideation, it sounds like. So figuring out ways to cope with those feelings just a little bit better so that you can keep moving at the pace that you're moving, which is an incredible feat.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great way. I really like the way that you put that, and I think that mostly I may need to kind of figure out maybe other different coping mechanisms that I haven't discovered, that maybe you would have more of an insight, that things that I haven't done before, to maybe kind of help, that I think maybe my coping mechanisms, they work, but I feel like they don't necessarily do it the trick all the time, and that maybe I need to start branching out to different coping mechanisms to kind of help get everything back to like a healthy state of mind, because I feel like sometimes it kind of my coping mechanisms work, but I feel like they don't work all the time, and I think maybe that's a reason why I would maybe need to that's a reason why I want to come to counseling, is to maybe find different outlets that maybe I haven't thought of before.
Well, great. That gives us a really good place to start for this counseling relationship. That gives us a lot to work with. And in future sessions, that'll be exactly what we explore, some coping mechanisms that you can utilize so that you've got some reliable outlets when these things come up for you. So
Yeah.
I look
Awesome.
forward to working with you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank
for
you so
coming.
much. I look forward to our progress we're gonna make.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks so much, Erica.
Alrighty. Bye.